welcome to the Ink Panels Graphic Novel Book Club. It rolled off my tongue way better this time than last time. Thank you for joining us for our 4th episode, and as promised, we are hitting a big 2 graphic novel, this time with Marvel, since we did Image for the first 3. My co-host Gambit is joining us. He actually picked the book this time after meeting the writer. Did you meet the artist too?
No, the writer.
Okay.
No, Mike Zeck was
J.M. DeMatteis?
DeMatteis. Yeah. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Always meet your heroes. This came out, I want to say 1986, 85?
Something like that.
Comics were 87. Comics were still 75 cents. And
wow.
Mike Zeck is the artist on this. I'm pretty infantile in my collecting at the time, but I remember this was a huge deal because this crossed over into every Spider-Man book, and DeMatteis and Zeck did the writing and art for each one of those, and there were 3 different Spidey books back then.
Yes.
So I'm going to start out right away with Mike Zeck is one of the most underappreciated artists of the time. Mostly he was known for Punisher, but his detail and the facial pain and
his
expressions is fantastic. Your thoughts?
Oh, I think this book it's beautiful. I read this book in 1997 or 8. I read a trade that a friend let me read. It was his trade. He said, "Oh, you need to read this. It's really good." And I read it back then. I was like in love with the book, right? and I have forgotten about it until a few recently that I was going through my collections. Oh, look at that! I need to reread this soon. So this was a perfect opportunity. But I forgot how beautiful this book is. This edition has a bunch of just pencil pages in the back, and these pages are beautiful. Like, this is beautiful work. Like, each page is not half a page for the inker to finish. It's like a fully rendered page, and then they inked over it, which I think I would love an artist edition of this book, untouched like that, just like that. It's just beautiful, just beautiful. I agree with you. He's underappreciated. He should be named more, you know?
I think it's because also, like, other than the couple of Spider-Man books, he did Punisher for so long, like, the big Punisher books. And, of course, so we were just discussing before, Captain America Annual 8 had one of the more iconic covers that I feel he ever did, where it's Wolverine slashing down Captain America's shield and there's sparks shooting off of it. Just beautiful stuff.
His storytelling, you can follow what's happening without having to read the dialogues, which, I mean, when we add the dialogues, it just makes for an even better story than just watching the drawings, obviously. But you can appreciate the book and go over a few pages and then have to go back and read those pages because I forgot that they had dialogue in it, and I had to need to go back and reread this page because
through yours, they definitely digitally recolored.
Oh yeah, this version that I have is
I just look at the page versus that one.
Yeah, I want that version. Yeah, this is a 2006 version, so it's digitally recolored, so it looks a little bit different than yours, and I kind of like yours better.
It's a little bit too crisp, and I'm really really nitpicky.
Too new.
One thing I'll say right off the bat. Kraven is naked a lot in this book. Like, he throws down his drawers real quick. There's a lot of naked posing and, running around like a jungle cat.
I mean, when you have a body like that, it's okay to be naked. I will be naked most of the time if I look like that.
Schwarzenegger in the 80s.
Right?
I don't wear a robe. I don't need one. So, the story is Kraven's descent into madness, I guess, maybe.
He has a really odd definition about honor.
Yeah, he basically has plotted out his one last victory. He wants to, with honor, defeat Spider-Man, take what's important to him, and it shows him he takes all these drugs, and he starts talking about how his family were aristocrats that were chased out by Tolstoy and Lenin from Russia, and they came to America and they were nothing. And we see constantly in this, there is a coffin sitting around, and he goes into it and he says, I will die soon, I must die soon, but not yet. And he pulls out the black Spider-Man costume out of it. And this is shortly after Spidey had just gotten married to Mary Jane, so they really played on some emotional strings of it. Spider-Man's still wearing the black costume, which I still to this day think's my favorite costume.
You think?
I love that costume, especially during the Hobgoblin days.
Yeah. I love the costume. I've always loved that black costume, and rereading in this and seeing how they played it to hide in the shadows and be more creepier and oh man, this book it's just beautiful.
Something else we talked about, J. Michael Straczynski during his run really dug in on the spider totem.
Oh yeah.
And in this, there's a ton of spiders everywhere. Kraven is eating spiders, trying to get their mojo or their power.
Yes, I like that every time they showed a panel of Spider-Man's where after he was supposedly killed and buried. Every time they show that gravestone, they will show a spider and spiders getting together on top of the grave. So I feel like, although obviously because it was years before JMS did Amazing Spider-Man, I feel like
stole elements.
Yeah,
borrowed.
He borrowed some, which in my opinion makes JMS run even better. That he took that detail that probably meant nothing. It was just
something caught his eye. He was just I can do something with this.
Yes, it was probably added as part of the story just to see how the psychology of these two characters work, because I'm pretty sure that's where he was going. This is all how everything it's going through Spider-Man's head or Kraven's head, and JMS saw something in it and created a whole new thing around something that probably was just added for dramatic purposes.
Some things I like: when Kraven is hunting Spider-Man through the city, he's drugged him, shot him with a dart gun. In his head, the inner monologue is come to me, Spider. Tonight I have widened my consciousness with herbs and roots. Tonight I have immersed myself in your being, eaten of your flesh. Tonight my mind has penetrated your essence. It feasts upon you like maggots feasting upon a corpse. Come to me. And he's mentally gone at this point. I'll just flat out say it. Kraven, belts him. He shoots him again. And he's, screams as he's about to shoot him, honor will be restored. And Spider-Man's don't shoot. You've always wanted to beat me to a pulp with your fist. Use your fists.
And he just shoots.
And then just blam. And the last thing Spider-Man's in his head's going, yesterday Ned Leeds, today Joe Face, tomorrow Aunt May, Mary Jane, blam. And they show this grave being dug. And this gravedigger is there a lot in the background. You're always like, good God, how deep is this guy? And they actually have a funeral for Spidey.
Yep.
They put him in, they cross his arms, and
they buried him. They close the casket and just put him in that hole.
Kraven throws the first thing of shovel of dirt, and then as the lightning and the thunder hit, he just starts laughing hysterically.
Yeah. He lost it. So this is the pages. This is the part when spoiler alert. By the end of the book, at some point in part of the story, they Spider-Man gets off from that grave, and they show him as a spider, and then that spider gets killed, and he comes out of from inside that spider. All this that it's just probably going off in his head while he's trying to dig himself out of that grave. And getting out of that drug-induced coma that he was, basically, all this is what I was saying. I'm saying that it was just to show you that psychology or how he saw it in his head, and JMS did something with this, and I'm pretty sure in my head, it's my canon. He used this as inspiration for his spider totem and all his things.
Kraven has this giant tombstone that says, "Here lies Spider-Man slain by the hunter," and you see the black suit there, and removes the mask, and it's Kraven. He's laughing. He's wearing the Spider-Man costume. There is a B story in here involving Vermin. I'm not a huge Vermin fan. He's just kind of there as having another animal totem, kind of.
I think he's there just to add something else to it, you know. I feel like he needed to add just another character, just to have something, a reason, or not a reason, because obviously there's a reason. You know how at the end he uses Vermin to fight Spider-Man, to have Spider-Man fight Vermin, you know, like to prove that he's superior, you know, that to prove that, yes, I bested you. I
bested Vermin.
I bested Vermin, and now Vermin is gonna best you too. You know, like they needed that other character, and Vermin was, like you say, another animal totem that.
And we have a scene of
like
Kraven.
I didn't say anything there.
Kraven takes all these herbs, roots of venom, poison. He starts screaming in pain, and then in his head, I guess it is, this giant group of spiders make a bigger spider, and he fights it, like almost like taking its will, its power. And he starts running around the streets like a lunatic, beating the shit out of criminals. Saving Mary Jane at one point, but like he just relentlessly beats him.
He kills someone in one of those beatings. One of the things I like about the way they Mike Zeck's art in this book, it's beautiful, is how animalistic they behave. How when Kraven is Kraven, he moves like a cat or a lion or a panther or a predator, always hunting, you know. And Spider-Man moves like when he's dressed as Spider-Man, he moves like creepy, like in the shadows, in hiding. Not.
There was a scene later on in the book where Kraven's walking and Spider-Man's following, but he's on the ground on all fours, like kind of following behind him on the ground, and I thought that was actually rather good. We have another scene here where Kraven gets naked and gets onto the windowsill and decides he's going to take down Vermin.
Naked Kraven.
He's in the Spider-Man suit when he does that. And the psychological part 4 is called Resurrection, and Spider-Man Peter digs himself out of the grave, and it's kind of this psychological place in his head where he's seeing Ned Leeds, who just died. And it's kind of like we said, he births from the spider.
This is one of my favorite covers ever.
Keeps reliving getting shot over and over and over.
I mean, it's a traumatic event, you know?
And then he digs himself out, and the page where he is out of the grave, and he, you know, it's almost like birth again. He goes into the mortuary, sees all the news clippings, starts wrecking shop.
I thought it was hilarious that he's just buried behind Kraven's mansion in the backyard.
Yeah. Peter goes back to Mary Jane, and he finds out he's been gone for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
He has been buried alive for 2 freaking weeks. And that drives him even more crazy that he's taken 2 weeks from his life.
Oh man, I want that version. I really don't like this 2000 recolored version. It's like that the Killing Joke that I have. I have a version of the Killing Joke that's recolored, and it looks good, but it looks too crisp, too new, too.
And this page is so good with the facial expressions.
Yes.
We have Spider-Man peeking through the window, and Kraven has this just psychotic smile on. And as you start to see Spider-Man descend into the picture, Kraven becomes more grim and expressionless.
Yeah.
He knows he's there. And I'll say it now, issue 5, when I was, I guess, 10 when this came out, it was the most ballsiest thing I could have ever imagined because we didn't have Mark Miller writing his fucked up stories. Like, this was insane. But, I'll get to the insane part. Spider-Man's confronting Kraven, and he, screaming 2 weeks, decking him. And Kraven just spits blood, smiles at him.
Taking it.
And he's going, don't you see? I finally won. I beat you.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, why do I fight?
I killed you, I buried you, and after I killed you, I took your place. I won. And then he gets naked again.
Of course. I mean, it's what you do.
He has to put his loincloth on. And we see that he has Vermin trapped, and he's torturing Vermin a little bit, and he lets him go.
You know, I hadn't noticed how much he got naked until today.
I couldn't not look at it.
I saw it as such a normal thing for that character to do at that moment. Just I'm just gonna do this naked because it's how I prove that I am the best. I have nothing restricting me, and I have nothing enhancing me. This is me. This is at my natural, and I beat you.
We also get this interesting, again, using animals, the rat and the spider on the street in the rain.
Oh yeah. Those were nice panels.
It's kind of like the rat at the end of the. Oh God, what was the name of that movie? Scorsese with Leonardo DiCaprio.
On Departed.
Yes, on The Departed, how they had the rat at the end walking.
I can't believe I remembered that. Yeah, so they have these panels in between pages. They have a panel where they have a rat and a spider like circling each other, like kind of showing that Vermin and Spider-Man argument that they're having in the basement of where Kraven has Vermin trapped and being tortured, and you have these two animals outside kind of representing them. It gives a little bit more than there's like more than it's like a connection between these animals, these creatures with these heroes that or in this case the case of Vermin villain, that it's based on an animal.
He's also broken. He's also broken Spider-Man. He just wailing on Vermin, screaming, "He shot me. He buried me. Buried me. Do you know what that's like, you stupid, disgusting animal? Do you know what that's like?" And then he's just about to do it, and he stops himself. And then they show the rat step on the spider, and Vermin then jumps on Spider-Man and starts clawing at him. And Kraven just wantonly throws a knife into his hand, and then whips him, and he runs off.
Yeah, lets him go. He'd served his purpose. He's done,
And Kraven's like, "You're free to go." And he's like, "Yeah, after all these years, you surely know that I'm a man of my word, and I give you my word. From this night forward, Kraven the Hunter will never hunt again." And Spider-Man jumps out the window saying, "I'll be back." And more of Kraven's inner dog. "I don't doubt it. Every man, every woman, every nation, every age has its spider. You have been mine. What a burden. What an honor." And it's like he's crying. You're about to cry. He has this weird sadness. And then he goes back to this story about, he's like, "How calm I feel." And he talks about how his mother, everybody thought she was insane. And finding honor in the jungle all these years, and I've never known peace or calm or that elusive thing called happiness. But I feel as if I can know it now, that it's nearby, just outside perhaps, hidden in the patter of the rain, the drumbeat of the thunder, peace, calm, happiness, and ending now. And he grabs a rifle out of the coffin. And this is the insanity, because, again, I was 10 years old reading this. And at the time, stuff like this didn't happen. He grabs the shotgun, and they show the shadows. Brilliant use of the background shadows of him putting the shotgun in his mouth. And as he's pulling the trigger, it cuts to the lightning and the thunder. And then blood in his corpse in the coffin, and blood running down the family portrait. I mean, just
yours doesn't have this page.
It does, but it's not
okay.
not enlarged like that.
Oh, it's just a panel here. They turned that last panel. No, they added an extra.
They
page
added
here.
an extra page of that panel.
They added an extra page. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
And I mean, again, my head as a kid, I was just like, oh.
Yeah,
oh
he just shot himself.
Plus, suicide was not talked about really much
No.
in books. Like,
No.
I mean, good God, I remember when they had the Death of Captain Marvel graphic novel. I was like, cancer's the worst.
Right?
not like I was a dumb kid reading it. That book made me cry. I'm not proud enough.
It was very intense. I remember the first time I read it, I felt the same. You know, although I read it years later after it came out. It was something that I was not expecting in a book. You know, like, and I feel like the story should have ended here. That's it. You know, there's another chapter. There's chapter 6. The conclusion.
Yeah,
Wow.
and it's basically Spidey going through the sewers chasing vermin, and kind of keeps reliving himself being buried. And then the police find the final confession of Kraven the Hunter. He took photos of himself dressed as Spider-Man going ballistic.
Going crazy. Yeah, because he killed someone, and they were obviously blaming Spider-Man for it. We were talking earlier, and you mentioned that you feel like this issue.
I honestly feel like the whole vermin story is unnecessary. I kind of went on too long. This easily could have been 4 to 5 issues. And it's basically kind of Spider-Man facing his inner demon, this last part where, he could go over the edge, but he doesn't. He wants to. And
I feel like, I don't know. I don't think that the vermin thing was too long. I think this is the only story I've read with the vermin, to be honest.
Marvel team up.
That
It was
I
Spider-Man and
enjoyed,
Captain.
you know.
So the Gravedigger, who we kept seeing, find out he's been digging Kraven's grave the whole time, and then they have a service, and they bring out Kraven with his loincloth over the casket, because of course,
I mean, you have to.
Closed casket, of course. And then his tombstone says, "Here lies Sergei Kravinoff, Kraven the Hunter. He died with honor." And it ends with them filling it. And as they're filling the casket, there's a spider and a rat on top of the casket. With spider burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry?
I think that was the original name of the story, Fearful Symmetry.
And that is the end of it. And what are your final thoughts on this?
Oh man, I had so much to say and I don't remember anything right now.
Didn't age well for me.
You think?
I remember, like, in my head 30-something years ago, story was just incredible. And then going back to it now, I'm like, fuck, I appreciate the hell out of Mike Zeck's art way more than I ever did back then.
That is true. That is true. I appreciate the art more now than I did back then. I agree with you. I think the reason we've seen and we've read so much since we read this the first time, that right now it's not shocking. You know, there's nothing shocking about it. There's nothing that oh wow, because we've already seen some of these things played out over and over again.
What I did fall into more though is his inner monologue and of like, oh, he's falling into like insanity.
Yeah.
And like he had plotted out his death. This was his giant suicide note. He was going to go out with one last big score, kind of like Mysterio in that Daredevil Guardian Devil story.
Oh my God, yes.
Where he's like, I'm dying, so I needed to pull this one last thing. And
I think this is something that I don't see much nowadays. Is the inner monologue. We don't see that much anymore. And
no, Batman just says every dumb thing that's on his mind now.
Let's not go there.
But even, like, do you remember the little bubbles that would say, go back to this issue, like that.
Yes.
That made me chase down so many back issues because like.
Now I want to know what happened.
Yeah, because I was like,
we don't see that.
I don't read ROM, but I need to find out what the hell happened with the X-Men in this.
Exactly. We don't see that anymore. We don't see good. There's nothing this good right now out there anymore. Let me rephrase that. There's a lot of equally good things, We've gotten a lot of stuff, but this was not planned to be a summer event. This wasn't a specific special graphic novel that was planned. This was they offered him the opportunity to write Spider-Man that he didn't want to, and they convinced him. It's okay, so I'm gonna write this story that I wanted to write. So he just did this to write something he wanted to write as part of his regular run on Spider-Man. So it's not like today that you team up the best writer and the hottest penciler to make a story and make it an event and make it like, it's not, what it means that there's nothing regular that it's insanely good,
Also, I have to bring up the time that this came out. I want to say the Comic Code Authority was still around. Where,
yes. Oh, yeah.
Stories like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You had to tell it a certain way to get away with. Like, that's probably why it was all in shadow, because now they'd probably just show the whole thing.
Yes, they probably show the whole thing.
Dick hanging out and everything, naked.
We'll see more naked Kraven. There's a lot of good comic books out there. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good writers out there right now. There's insanely good stuff, but it seems lately that you get the insanely good stuff only in specific events. It's not part of the regular run that it happens to be just a really, really, really great run, that it was so good that part of that run that that it stands on its own. And that's what I think is really good about this Kraven's Last Hunt, is that it was just across all 3 books for like 2 months. It was 2 issues each title.
But it was 3. One of them had Peter Parker, Web, and Amazing.
Yeah, Web, Amazing, and Spectacular. Yeah, 3 books. It's 2 issues per book.
And I mean, for the same team to do all 3 of those books,
that was unheard of. And I think this is the first time that it was actually that they took a story and make it go through all the books. That now that's mandatory, that's standard.
And then the X-Men just were like, oh, hold up.
Yeah, hold my beer.
We've got something to say now.
Hold my beer, because they have like, if you put together, it's like, how many X titles are related back then? Anyways, that's not the point.
Yeah.
We don't get that anymore. We don't get like a nice story inside a run that it's so good. Yeah, that it's so good that it stands out of on its own. I don't need to read much of Spider-Man before this, and if I don't want to read anything of Spider-Man after this could be one good Spider-Man story, and that's it. It doesn't. Batman Hush, the ending of Batman Hush.
I'm just saying though, this was in that little run, because like year 1 also was within that run.
Yes, but right now we don't get that.
No.
That's my point. And to be fair, let's be honest with Hush. Hush was designed to be that. That was all a marketing ploy to sell as much Batman books as possible at that moment. So what are we going to do? Let's put an amazing artist doing a character that he hasn't done before. Jim Lee doing Batman. What? It's a guaranteed sale.
And let's hold on that for 1 second, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back, and you're talking about Hush and Jim Lee.
About Hush. With Hush, we got that. It's in the middle of the Batman run. We got these 10 issues, 12 issues that are this story that stand on its own. But that was designed that way. That was they did that with the purpose. Okay, I'm gonna put you guys here, and this is the story behind putting you guys here. You guys are going to create a story, and it's intended for this purpose.
I'd say one of the other great runs that I loved as a kid and forever. Incredible Hulk, Peter David and Todd McFarlane's Hulk run, especially the Gamma Bomb run. It literally is one of like the great opuses for the Hulk. I don't know if it was meant to be that, but it was one of those writer on top of his game, and McFarlane wasn't even McFarlane yet.
Yeah.
And he, became McFarlane doing that book, and then got on Spider-Man, but it was unreal.
I think that's these people didn't set out back then to create something that they didn't say, okay, so this is going to be this. I'm going to write this, and this is going to be my masterpiece. No, they were actually just writing things. They had more freedoms to write than they do now, and now it feels like, okay, we need something amazing. Now it feels forced. Every time you get something that you go like, wow, that was really good. It feels forced. I feel like they put Brian Michael Bendis on Superman. Don't get me wrong, I've been enjoying that a lot because I love Brian Michael Bendis, and I've been enjoying that a lot. But I feel like it's like, okay, so we're gonna put you here because we know you can create something good. Create good, It's not like, okay, we're gonna put you here, do what you want, enjoy, have fun. It feels different. It feels different when they say, this is what you're gonna do, and we believe in you. So this is create good. It's not create. It's not do something and express yourself through your art. No, it's create good. I feel that they have this extra.
Jonathan Hickman on the powers of 10X, whatever you want to call it, House of X, where he's just like, here's my script.
But I think with him, I think this is one of those cases where they say, okay, I see where you're going, I like it, keep going. But that doesn't happen often. I feel like, and you can feel it in when you're reading books lately, you can feel when there's an editor behind you, when you have that pressure of like in behind your ears saying it has to be amazing, that you're forcing that. Sometimes you fail because that's greatness. You just don't give greatness like that. That's one of those things that just happens, things click. And I feel like back then, during this time and before, and a little bit after that too, these writers and these artists have a little bit more freedom to create and experiment with these characters without having a big voice behind you saying, no, Batman cannot be himself. No, we cannot show Batman eating a sandwich. You know what I mean?
I don't think the multimedia stuff was as behind it too, where now you have Warner owns DC,
exactly.
Disney owns Marvel. You can't really put your balls out there anymore because somebody's gonna go, oh no, you can't do. I mean, look at Bermejo and Azzarello. Like
that was so stupid.
Two dudes got tortured. They invited him to the Joker premiere though. I saw the pictures.
That's good. At least that's good. But I feel like that was an insult to them, because this book wasn't this wasn't done without the editors knowing what was happening, without the editors seeing these pages
3
before.
Years.
This is 3 years of Bermejo's work before it was published. It's not like,
and it was an adult book,
and it was an adult book. It's stupid. I think it's stupid. I think it's disrespect. It's disrespectful to the artist and to the writer to censor the book the same day it came out because someone said, "Oh, we cannot show."
Because the internet had
bat cock. God!
Bat cock was a trend.
Let's not go there because
so number grade on this. It's out of 10. What?
The 1 out of 10. I still give it an 8. I still give it an 8 because if you give this to someone who's not familiar with books, with comic books, which nowadays is almost impossible not being familiar with comic books because it's everywhere. But if you give this someone someone says to me, "Oh, I don't read comic books because I still think they're childish." This is one of those books that I say, "Okay, read that and then come back to me," And I still that it will still have I think it'll still have the same impact to someone who has not read it before, or that are not familiar with this character. It's complete enough that someone who's not familiar with these characters can read it and still enjoy it. And if you're familiar with the character and the history of these characters, it makes it an even better experience. So if you haven't had the chance to read it, go do that. It's a really good book.
I'm 6.5 out of 10.
6.5? That's fair.
And it's weird. Like I really feel like that last part ruins the run for me, because I don't need that vermin fight at the end. It should have ended with Kraven killing himself, or at least with them burying him afterward, or like an epilogue. I remember as a kid hating that last issue too, because I remember I was like, I spent 75 cents, which like
75 cents back then.
Yeah,
I mean 75 cents for 75 cents back then.
10 years old. And like, and this is like no disrespect to J.M. DeMatteis and Mike Zeck. Like, again, Mike Zeck, I hate myself that I did not
appreciate
him the way I should have. And there's a lot of, like, Jack Kirby, I was late to the game. And then
me too.
I started seeing, like, these things about, I mean, the guy was doing 8 pages a day of different books, which 8 pages a day, you ask any artist.
Dude, 1 page a day, it's an impressive feat, you know?
And that's great. And then you see
my
guys...
English is bad today.
You see guys like Capullo who were like throwing out page after page after page on Twitter a day. Like, I didn't like this. I didn't like this. You're just like, oh.
Listen, it takes me like 3 days to finish a page. And this dude used to put out 8.
Yeah, and like he'd just sit down there smoking cigars and just... I mean, he reused a lot of backgrounds, which... You know what? If you're gonna nitpick the shit out of that, then you have to understand. Like,
I mean, it's. I feel like sometimes people that'll be nitpicking.
You weren't scanning pages back then and emailing them. Like, you were like having not even FedEx. You were mailing them.
Yep.
Or you had some schmuck at the office that you had to go to in New York and like have him sit there all night going, India ink, India ink. Is this purple? Yeah. All right, Jack. Purple and pink. All right.
Are we out of time again?
No. That's something else completely about your hand drawing. So, what have you been reading?
What have I been reading? I've been reading Thor. I haven't finished I stopped when War of the Realms started. I haven't read that. It's my next thing. I'm all up to date on Savage Sword of Conan and Conan the Barbarian. Great books. I highly recommend those books. What else have I been reading? I haven't read anything I haven't read Detective Comics or Batman in like 20 issues. Wow, my list on the last Detective comic was in
Detective.
Issue, like,
go ahead and read.
986.
Just save yourself the pain. Just don't even read regular Batman. Just don't do it.
Let's not go there.
So 2 Boom Studios comics I have loved.
What?
Once in Future by Kieran Gillen and Dan Mora.
Yeah.
And another one, Something is Killing the Children. James Tynion and I don't mean to disrespect the artist. I forget the name. Great Jay Lee cover, an even better Jenny Friesen cover.
Yeah.
But basically, it's these monsters killing children. This woman with these swords is hunting them, and she's like interviewing these children, going, "Okay, where did you see this thing?" And going from town to town.
Right, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Just fascinating. Also, what was the book? I want to check it out. I have the book. I haven't read it yet. Bloodshot #1 by Tim Seeley and Brett Booth.
Oh yeah.
I like both creators, so I'm willing to give it a shot.
I'm gonna have to try that out. Powers of X and House of X. That's the other thing that I've been reading.
Yeah. Again, like Jonathan Hickman, big story guy. Where how into House of X are you right now?
I'm up to date.
Okay, because
I haven't been up to date in a book in years. Like reading it, like purposely reading it the same day it comes out. I haven't done that in years.
The story is being told non-linear.
Yeah.
And to find out what the gold sacks that were at the beginning of the first issue really were and how they came to be, and it ties into Bendis's mutants that he created, it's ungodly mind-bending. And then Apocalypse is kind of like bending the knee to Magneto and Professor
X. That was unexpected. What do you think about the okay, so spoilers. I'm sorry, guys, but I need to talk about this for a second. About that issue where they show you how they come back.
That's what I was talking about, with the gold balls and all these jabroni
characters that were like useless, basically.
Gold balls. Fucking gold balls.
You know what's the only thing that I actually did not think about it when I first read the book? I thought it was insanely interesting, you know? I'm ballsy to try that. But the one thing that I read on someone's post, that he was saying that he was not enjoying the book because it felt like it just went off the rails in that issue, was that yes, they brought them back, but how is Wolverine's copy has adamantium in the bones? It's the only thing that, and it hasn't stopped me from enjoying the book, you know?
I didn't think they brought him back. He was just there.
No, I think because he died in space. He died in space in the issue before.
But they didn't show him being one of the ones they brought back, though. That's why I said this is non-linear.
Oh, I have to go back and reread that.
Because he died in the future.
No. I'm talking about, you know when they went to, they died in the mission trying to stop the Sentinel master mold that's in space.
Well, maybe I'm confused.
And that's
when he killed Moira, is what I was thinking of.
Oh no! I'm thinking about when they go into the space, which is supposed to be the present, and they go to space to that mission, and they all died in that mission. He was part of those that died, and then he was brought back on the other issue with Kurt, with Jean Grey, and
they didn't do that whole big thing with, "We know you, brother." Like that's why.
Yes, I think that was pretty cool. I think that was pretty cool when like it felt a little bit cultist.
A little bit.
You know, it felt a little bit, but I'm really curious as to see where this is going, because the interaction with Storm and M and Sinclair, the girl that doesn't like to be touched, that interaction, you can tell that at first it kind of feels like Storm is in kind of like a trance, kind of like a cold trance type of thing, but when she interacts with her, you can see, because she reacts to the fact that she's gonna try to touch her, and she goes like this and goes, "Don't touch me," and you see Storm's expression. You can see that she's not in a trance, she's not being brainwashed, it's just part of that, like.
Oh, because Monet's skin is razor sharp because she's Penance.
Yes, and she doesn't like being touched.
Yeah. Another book that came out and ended, and I'm indifferent on what I thought of the ending. Black Science number 43.
Is it good?
The series ended. It had several different endings because they keep fucking with reality.
Oh, okay, nice. I'm gonna have to read that.
Grant fucks up once again and decides to steal another family so that they can all be together again.
Yeah, I only read the first trade of Black Science, and I have like 4 trades. I only read the first one, so I'm gonna have to go and read.
It was a bit of a mind trip reading it, and I was like, well, Remender did it again. I'm just sitting here like, everybody's a fuck up or get fucked up, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna reread this another time when my head's in the right space. Kind of like Paper Girls. It had an ending, and I was never gonna be satisfied with it. And same thing with Black Science. I don't think I was ever gonna be satisfied with the ending. But it had an ending, so I can appreciate that. It's like, I know in Saga, when it eventually hits that, I don't know if I'm going to be satisfied with the ending.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's a big problem.
What else is Immortal Hulk? I'm still
Enjoying
deep in, and it continues to be good. Daredevil, Chichetto came back. Zdarsky's writing is on point. I just read that J.J. Abrams, Sarah Pichelli Spider-Man book.
Oh, I read that first issue. I actually enjoy it. It was actually pretty cool.
It was good. I didn't love it, but it was good. I hate the Black Cat book. That's been terrible.
Didn't even try it.
The covers have been good. That's about it. Yeah, Marvel's been kind of real hit and miss for me. The Absolute Carnage stuff's been interesting.
Oh yeah, oh yes, I've been reading my Absolute Carnage. I mean, at least Absolute Carnage 1, 2, and 3. I'm not reading any of the tie-ins because it's exhausting just to see the list of all the tie-ins there are, you know. So but I've been enjoying that like way more than I thought it was. It feels like it's like a remake of Maximum Carnage from the 90s.
A little bit,
you know, but. Okay.
Did you notice how Stegman's art feels like it kind of keeps changing and morphing as the issue goes on? Where at times I thought he was kind of doing a McFarlane homage, and then other times it's kind of real, like, gritty doing the faces.
Yeah.
Not as cartoony. It's hard to explain, but I'm liking it. Donny Cates, damn good writer who just all of a sudden became, like, this household name. Batman, they announced the new writer.
Yes.
James Tynion, yet another Scott Snyder student.
I honestly, I stopped reading Batman a long time ago, right after the Cold Days book. And I stopped. I haven't feel like I want to read more. And same with Detective.
I'm hate reading.
I know you're hate reading. I know you're hate reading. I don't put myself through that. So you know.
Batman is in Hawaii with a Magnum PI mustache.
Okay,
with
no,
Catwoman.
stop it.
He's doing one-arm push-ups while she's doing Tai Chi on his back. I'm not even fucking making this up.
Okay, all right. So
they're still arguing about where they met the first time.
Going back to what you're reading and enjoying. I see myself lately enjoying books that are not superhero oriented, that are not. I feel like when I get a book in my hands, except for Powers of X and House of X, every time I get something in my hands that it has a superhero in it, I like. It goes to the end of my pile of things to read. I've been enjoying the hell out of Conan the Barbarian and Savage Sword of Conan.
Do you feel that House of X and Powers of X are superhero books? Because I don't at this point.
No, that's sci-fi. I mean, for me, it's a sci-fi book now. It's not a superhero thing. I mean, we've been on issue 5 of both series, and there hasn't been anything. There hasn't been anything heroic except for the mission of the moon where they all die. I'm sorry, but they're not dead. Don't worry about it.
I will say issue 2 of House of X is still one of the best single issues I have read in a long time.
Yes, it's a really good book.
Moira McTaggart, who's a character I've never given two shits about.
Right?
They made her the most fascinating character ever in an X book, and that's saying something. They just released Marvel this Strike Force book.
Oh.
And it's like the Son of Satan and like all these weird characters. We got a new Ghost Rider book coming out this week.
Yes.
Johnny Blaze is back once again, King of Hell. Captain America, been fucking great.
Oh yeah.
It's been solid ever since Ta-Nehisi Coates took over writing, and those Alex Ross covers are just insanely good.
It's Alex Ross.
His covers though for Immortal Hulk also like fantastic. DC wise, like honestly, Action Comics I've really liked. Event Leviathan has been good. Black Hammer by Lemire, I don't even know if it ended. The Age of Doom storyline just ended. fucking great. I'm real happy with that, and No One Left to Fight. If you are an anime fan, like Dragon Ball Z or JoJo's...
Oh, yeah, somebody talked to me about it. I think it was you the other
I
day.
think
You were talking to me about that, so I'm going to have to check that one out.
There's only one more issue left, or 2 more issues left. Great. I'm really enjoying it. Ascender, I love.
I haven't read Ascender. I haven't finished Ascender yet, so.
Still doing Deadly Class. 7 to Eternity's feels like it's on the longest hiatus I can remember. There's probably a ton of books that'll hit me later, but.
Right? I know I read something else this past week, but I just can't remember right now.
I finally got down to the ends in my read pile, and I know Wednesday's coming real quick.
No, I'm like I said, I'm just piling the superhero stuff. Just reading something different, you know. Conan the Barbarian, I will say it again. It's been
except Savage
beautiful.
Avengers is trash.
I haven't read Savage Avengers, but Savage Sword of Conan has been really good too. I've been enjoying those two a lot. I mean, Jason Aaron's writing, it's spectacular. I've loved his Thor run since Thor: God of Thunder. I'm gonna say that like 20 more times.
Walt Simonson's Thor is still my favorite.
Yeah,
still my favorite.
You have to reread that.
Oh my god, his fucking art is... So for October, we have it planned out already. It's a little on the nose, but we're going to be doing The Long Halloween.
I mean, duh.
Tim Sale, Jeff Loeb. It's a long-ass book, so we'll have a lot to talk about.
It's like 12 issues.
Yeah, and they're the oversized.
Book. Yeah,
thick.
It's a long-ass book.
We also have planned November Identity Crisis. Supposed to be live streaming it with my friend, the Comic Queen, Natalie. It should be interesting because she, like myself, is not good at preparing. So
we have to prepare for this.
But when we did the Heroes in Crisis stream, we kept saying people keep talking trash about Identity Crisis, and we both really liked it. And Gambit, we've talked about it before.
Oh, I love that book.
And then Christmas,
looking for an excuse to reread it.
We have something special. Lobo, the Last Argonian. It's one of his favorite books, and I have not read it in at least 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So this will be a trip down memory lane.
just remember the time it was written, because there's some things that I sometimes go to those books and you go like, man, I love this, but damn.
And that was cutting edge back then. We're like, it's going too far.
Oh, yeah,
it's going too far.
I was reading last night Paramilitary Christmas Special. It's like, wow, I can't believe they got away with this.
Simon Bisley also, I mean, his art was great. But again, it's one of those guys where you don't think about him because he doesn't really do a whole lot anymore.
Yeah.
Was he heavy metal? I think.
Yeah, he did a lot of heavy metal.
He did Grendel Prime, which was a fucking.
Oh wow, I remember that. I don't think I've ever read that.
The covers, at least. He didn't do the inside.
The only thing Grendel related that I've ever read was a book that I got in the science fiction book club many years ago, and I don't remember anything about that. Anything at all. I think I still have that trade, but I don't remember
basically
anything
evil
about
Batman.
I have the Grendel Batman books. I haven't read them yet.
So since we're talking about it, Grendel is one of those things where it starts out as like evil Batman. He's a crime lord. Kind of has the weird Batman origin. But weirdly, the book takes on a lot. He's killed in the first miniseries or second miniseries. He dies, but the legacy continues where it jumps into the future, and this relative of the little girl who he has his ward, her son is killed by a kabuki vampire. So she steals the stuff from the Grendel Museum and becomes the new Grendel. She gets killed. Her lover goes crazy and starts dressing up as a Grendel And then he dies, and it keeps jumping into the future, and all of a sudden Grendel becomes this religion, where the president of the United States is the Grendel Prime.
Oh my God!
Or Grendel Khan.
This went like.
Oh yeah, no, it becomes a religion, and it just takes on its life of its own, where everybody's even the greeting is like Grendel something, I can't even remember, but like. It's interesting because it takes this real life character and then turns it into this religion and this myth, and it just keeps going and going and going. And they have a new Grendel coming out called Grendel Odyssey, where it's Grendel in space. So Matt Wagner has managed to
wow,
constantly evolve this character, and people keep buying it, and I love.
I mean, if it's a good story, it's a good story. It doesn't matter.
I love at least.
If it's good. It's good.
3/4 of the stuff that came out, and then there's this tiny corner of Drek that you're just like, oh, why?
At one point, I want to read the Alan Moore's Promethea. I don't know how I got there right now, but I got there. Okay.
It's good. It's damn good.
Yeah.
It's his version of Wonder Woman, but really into the weird mythology. That was actually a really good book. I went back recently and reread all of Alan Moore's Miracle Man.
Oh, bet that was not.
No, it's a great book, but
yeah,
boy, you gotta.
I've never read it.
One of the most awesome, gruesome scenes I've ever seen in a book, where Kid Miracle Man in his human form, his alternate personality of Kid Miracle Man became evil.
Oh.
And he didn't want to ever come. So these bullies start raping him, and he, says the words and becomes it, and just rips all their heads off. And this teacher is in there just don't kill me. He's like, you know what? You're the only person in this godforsaken place that was nice to me. And she starts to walk up and goes, yeah, I can't have them thinking I went soft, and freaking kills her. And Miracle Man has to, basically kill him.
Oh, wow. Huh.
It's an awesome story, but then after that it starts getting weirder and weirder, and it starts becoming like a Swamp Thing.
Okay.
Where there's a baby Miracle Man, and
Right.
I one day I'll let you read them.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to read that. That's one of those things that I have on my to-read list.
So we're running out of time. I just want to say thank you for joining us, watching. Hopefully you will start reading some of this stuff, or let us know if you're reading it. Yes. Comment, share, subscribe. You can find me on Instagram at dirty_epic. Or on Twitter at ChopComic, not Comic Chop, because
that's another thing.
Someone else had that. Twitter sucks sometimes. And you can find Gambit at
Gambit Sync, gambitsync.com, Gambit Sync on Instagram, Gambit Sync on Facebook, Gambit Sync. Super easy.
And if you happen to be in the Florida area and want a tattoo, if you happen to like Rick Remender, he does a lot of Rick Remender tattoos, and Rick Remender likes them.
Yes. Woohoo! It's actually pretty cool.
Yes. My girlfriend got a tattoo of Low on her arm, and I went ahead and just tweeted it out there, and Rick Remender liked it and retweeted it, and it's internet famous now.
The internet famous. I got three extra likes on my Twitter account. That's it. My Twitter is non-existent. I post things there, and it's I feel like nobody sees it, but I post it there. But when you post my things, people see it. So, yeah.
Anyway, guys, until next month, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.